The mirror doesn't lie, it just shows people what they're too scared to accept. What's good, Ascenders? You've just locked in to Sigma Ascends, where we don't sugarcoat power or dumb it down for the masses. We dissect the real. We speak in codes only the awake can decode. Now let me hit you with a scenario that hits close for many of you. You walk into a space with that quiet force Sigma males are known for. People notice. They watch how you don't chase, how you observe, how you answer without craving spotlight. At first, you're the anomaly, the mystery. You're the one they can't categorize, and that draws them like moths to the flame. But then, they start to disappear. No confrontation, just silence. Energy shift, ghosted. Why does this cycle repeat for Sigmas? Why are they admired first, then distanced? Today, we crack the code. Here are 12 rare, uncomfortable reasons Sigma males magnetize fake people, then repel them without saying a word. And no, this isn't some pop psychology listicle. This is strategy. This is signal decoding signal. Before we dive, do the move. Subscribe. Because here, we don't blend in. We ascend. Let's hit reason 1. 1. The static-free aura. Most people are walking radios, constantly tuned to other people's opinions, chatter, likes, DMs, rumors, gossip. It's all static, endless noise trying to simulate substance. But a Sigma male? He walks through that chaos like a silent signal, clean, unbothered, focused. This aura is powerful. At first, fake people mistake it for mystery. They project onto it. They think you're quiet because you're insecure or hiding something. But over time, they realize you're not playing their game at all. You're not trying to impress, fit in, or broadcast curated versions of yourself. You are signal. They are static. Your calm intimidates people who are addicted to stimulation. Your stillness makes them anxious. They feel irrelevant around someone who doesn't need them, and that's where the admiration fades. Fake people crave attention. They can't handle indifference. And when you don't seek them out, flatter them, or affirm their surface identities, they feel unseen. To them, your neutrality is rejection. But to you, it's just how you operate. Focused, grounded, not here for noise. They might say things like, "You're hard to read. You're so quiet, it's unsettling. You think you're better than everyone." What they really mean is, "I don't know how to control you." They liked you at first because they thought they could figure you out, that they could use your uniqueness as a social asset. But when they realize you're immune to validation loops, they disappear. Not because you changed, but because they never understood you in the first place. 2. The echo void. Most fake people don't want conversations. They want mirrors. They want to hear their own ideas repeated back to them with applause. That's why so many relationships today feel empty. The dynamic is built on repetition, not truth. Enter the Sigma male. You don't echo nonsense. You respond with silence when needed. You ask questions that cut through the mask. You don't laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You don't play dumb to stroke egos. And fake people hate that. They feel uncomfortable when you don't validate their illusions. Your honesty, even when unspoken, is threatening. You're not trying to win the conversation. You're trying to learn, observe, extract value, or walk away. That kind of presence exposes the shallowness of others. Soon they start saying, "You're too serious. You always make things deeper than they are. You don't vibe like everyone else." But the truth is, you're not there to vibe. You're there to be real. When people realize you're not going to reflect their noise back at them, they ghost. Not because you did something wrong, but because you forced them to face their emptiness. You're not an echo, you're a void, and they can't handle the silence. 3. Mirror of discomfort. The Sigma male doesn't need to expose anyone. He just shows up fully aligned. That alignment alone acts like a spotlight. Suddenly people feel exposed without you saying a word. Why? Because fake people live in contradiction. Your consistency highlights their chaos. You're not trying to flex. You're just honest. You say no when you mean it. You don't people please. You don't over-explain or apologize for your path. That makes people reflect, and reflection is uncomfortable. When someone insecure is around a Sigma, they don't feel judged. They feel seen too clearly. That's the discomfort. It's not what you do, it's what you don't tolerate. Your silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, they see the fakeness they've kept hidden from the world, and maybe from themselves. They'll say things like, "You're intimidating. You make me feel small. You're too intense." But that's their projection. You're not making them feel small. They already felt small. You're just not covering it up for them. This is why the admiration flips into avoidance. People crave authenticity until they realize it holds up a mirror and they're not ready to look. So they vanish, fade out, block, mute, unfollow. Let them. Your presence will always reveal what's real, and not everyone is ready for that. 4. Non-sellable energy. In a world where most people are selling a version of themselves, online, offline, socially, there's one energy that can't be branded, bottled, or bought: the Sigmas. And that's exactly what makes fake people itch. Your energy is sovereign. It's not made for show. It's not curated to attract followers or manipulate responses. It's not networking energy. It's real. It's internal. It's non-sellable. At first, fake people are drawn in because they think they've discovered something rare, a vibe they can market, a coolness they can mimic. But they soon realize there's nothing to use. You're not giving them clout by association. You're not offering a platform to stand on. You don't sell your mystery to the highest bidder. That's when things shift. They start to feel frustrated. Why? Because they can't label you, leverage you, or outshine you. You're not participating in their economy of likes, impressions, and transactional validation, and that means you're a liability to their image, not an asset. Eventually, they leave, not loudly, just subtly, like a browser tab they forgot they opened. But don't get it twisted. They didn't walk because you lacked value. They walked because you wouldn't sell it to them. That's the paradox. Your worth was exactly why they ghosted. So if you ever wonder why people who once clung to your presence suddenly act like you vanished, understand this: your refusal to be used was the closure they couldn't handle. 5. Silence that screams. Here's the thing most people can't comprehend. Silence isn't emptiness. It's pressure. It's presence. And the Sigma male understands the weight of silence better than anyone. You don't speak unless there's meaning. You don't respond just to respond. Your pauses aren't hesitation. They're decoding time. But to fake people, silence is unbearable. It threatens them, because in the quiet, truth starts to echo. And most people are scared of what they'd hear if they listened long enough. At first, they're intrigued by your calm. It feels powerful. They think it's mystique. But soon that silence starts to feel like confrontation. Because in the absence of noise, their inner doubts grow louder. They'll say things like, "Why are you so cold? You don't talk much, do you? Are you always like this?" What they really mean is, "Why don't you give me the attention I crave?" You don't fill awkward silences because you don't feel awkward in your own skin. You're not here to entertain. You're here to observe, to calculate, to move only when it makes sense. And in a world drunk on constant connection, that stillness feels like rejection. Eventually, they retreat. They need noise to feel alive. You generate your own frequency. Let them leave. You're not missing out. You're just not mirroring dysfunction. Your silence doesn't chase. It filters. 6. The no-rope boundaries. Boundaries are a buzzword these days, but few people actually understand how deep real boundaries go. Most set boundaries they're willing to compromise, not Sigmas. Your boundaries aren't negotiable. They're not threats. They're facts. You don't do guilt trips. You don't overextend. You don't let people tug on your energy like it's a leash they can yank when they need you. That's what fake people want. Invisible rope they can pull when attention gets scarce or ego needs feeding. But with you, there is no rope. There's a wall, A clean, respectful, unshakable line. At first, they love it. They think it's confidence. They admire your ability to say no, to disappear, to walk away clean. But then, they want access. And when they realize they can't manipulate you into giving it, they start pushing, testing. You don't fold. So they try guilt, distance, passive aggression. And when none of that works, when they realize you're not giving them control, they ghost, because that's their final play. They want you to chase, you don't. That's the lesson here. Sigma boundaries don't beg, bargain, or break. They simply exist. And fake people can't function when they're not in control of someone. Let them ghost. Let them vanish. That's their tell. They were only comfortable when they thought they could influence you. Your boundary was the exit they couldn't unsee. 7. Respect without begging. Respect is a currency most people spend recklessly. They toss it around for status, charm, or power. But Sigmas, they don't beg for it. They command it, without a single word. Here's the twist. Fake people are used to being chased. They're addicted to being needed. They thrive on people proving their worth. But a Sigma shows up already full. You don't campaign for attention. You don't ask for permission to be who you are. And that throws the entire social algorithm into chaos. At first, they admire your self-respect. It looks like strength, and it is. But soon they realize you're not just strong, you're unreachable. You don't need their validation. You don't crumble under neglect. You don't enter emotional bidding wars just to win a place. And that's where the admiration cracks. Fake people start to feel threatened by your composure. Why? Because it reminds them they've built their self-worth on outside input. You show them what earned respect looks like, and that's something they've never known. They'll try baiting you, with compliments, with silent treatments, with subtle digs meant to provoke. You don't react. You're not on sale. Eventually, they vanish. And they'll justify it by calling you distant, too self-contained, or emotionally unavailable. But here's what really happened. You refused to beg for something you already embody. Remember this, Ascenders. When you stop chasing respect, you start filtering out everyone who never had any to offer. 8. The intensity filter. Intensity isn't about being loud or aggressive. Real intensity is quiet, focused, controlled, and Sigma males carry it like a hidden weapon. You walk into a room and people feel it, without you even speaking. It's in your eyes, your presence, the way you don't flinch. That unspoken focus creates pressure. It commands attention and forces awareness. Fake people aren't built for that kind of energy. They thrive in surface-level interactions, light, fluffy, performative. But you bring depth. Depth demands vulnerability, and that's something they're terrified of. At first, they label your intensity as intriguing, but over time, it becomes overwhelming. They realize your focus is not about control, it's about clarity. You see through people. You notice what others ignore. You remember what they forget. And that makes you dangerous to those who are hiding. You start to notice them pulling back, avoiding eye contact, laughing a little too hard, changing topics when things get real. Why? Because your intensity doesn't allow them to hide behind small talk. It peels away their image. It asks silent questions like, why are you here? What are you pretending to be? What are you avoiding? And fake people don't want those questions asked, spoken or unspoken, so they disappear. But here's the truth, Ascenders. Your intensity is your filter. It doesn't push away the wrong people. It reveals who was never built to stay. 9. Unhackable psychology. Most people wear their psychology on their sleeves. Easy to read, predict, and influence. They react emotionally, signal socially, and conform mentally. But Sigmas? You're a locked vault. Fake people hate that. They can't hack you. You don't follow predictable scripts. You don't explode when provoked. You don't flatter to gain favor. And worst of all, you don't need to be understood. You're not broadcasting for attention. You're moving in your own psychological frequency. At first, that makes you magnetic. They want to know what makes you tick. They analyze your silence, project meaning onto your calm, search for a crack in the armor. But there's no crack. There's just distance, strategic, earned, intentional. This drives manipulative personalities crazy. They survive by figuring people out, pushing buttons, creating reactions. But you don't give them any. They'll call you cold, unemotional, robotic. But what they're really saying is, I can't control you. And here's the psychological warfare fake people don't understand. Your mind isn't closed. It's protected. You know who you are. You've built mental discipline. You've trained your emotional responses. That makes you unreadable. And to the manipulators of the world, unreadable is unplayable. Eventually, they walk. Not because they stopped liking you, but because they couldn't predict you, couldn't box you, couldn't control the narrative. Stay unreadable, ascenders. Let them talk. Let them vanish. You don't owe anyone access to your mind. 10. You don't need the stage. Fake people live for the spotlight. They need a stage, an audience, a constant performance. Everything they do is designed to be seen. Likes, retweets, applause. It fuels them. They're not living, they're acting. But the Sigma male, you're the opposite. You don't need the stage to feel real. You don't require the validation of claps to confirm your value. You move in silence because your purpose is internal. You're not chasing attention, you're building alignment. And at first, this triggers curiosity. People wonder, why isn't he trying to stand out? They think it's modesty, or maybe strategy. But over time, they realize you're not waiting for your turn in the spotlight at all. You're not in their play. That's when the admiration fades and confusion sets in. See, when you don't compete for attention, you break the rules they live by. They believe life is a popularity contest. You're proof it isn't. That's a threat. When your power isn't for show, it forces them to question if their own performance is empty. They start to drift away, not because you offended them, but because you refuse to play the game. They'll say you're too quiet, too private, or not engaged. But the truth is, they just can't function around someone who doesn't need them to look alive. Let them go. You don't need the stage when you are the structure. 11. You spot the mask. Fake people wear layers, masks on masks. They rehearse reactions. They curate personalities. Their whole existence is a social illusion. And for a while, it works, because most people are too distracted to notice, but not you. Sigmas don't fall for surface. You study patterns, you remember contradictions, you catch inconsistencies, you see people, not just what they show. And that terrifies the fake ones. At first, they're intrigued by your insight. They feel understood. But then you start seeing beneath their image, and the panic sets in. You ask questions that slice through the surface. You don't laugh at phony jokes. You don't play along when they start acting. And that's when the vibe shifts. Because once someone knows you've seen behind the curtain, they can't keep performing. They either get real or get gone. And fake people, they choose the exit. They'll call you judgmental. They'll say you're too intense or always analyzing. But the truth is, you weren't judging. You were witnessing. And they couldn't bear being seen without the mask. Let them run. Let them call you what they need to justify the distance. Your vision is a filter, and only the real will stay in view. 12. The inner wealth threat. Here's a hard truth. Real value can't be bought. It can't be posted. It doesn't wear brands. And Sigma males radiate this kind of inner wealth. You don't flex your worth. It leaks out. It's in your walk, your decisions, your solitude, your silence. And that kind of richness, emotional, mental, spiritual, is the loudest threat to anyone living in superficial wealth. At first, fake people admire you. You don't brag, but you glow. You don't try, but you influence. You're not trying to impress, but somehow you do. They're fascinated. until your presence starts triggering their insecurities. See, when you walk with inner wealth, it shows them everything they're lacking. Your confidence isn't based on achievements. Your peace isn't bought. Your respect isn't rented. You're self-fed, and that's offensive to people who need others to survive. Suddenly, they resent you. They feel poor in your presence, not financially, but energetically. They'll start minimizing you. He's just quiet. He thinks he's better than people. He's too full of himself. But don't mistake this for truth. It's defense. You reminded them that real status is internal. You didn't take anything from them. You just revealed what they never had. And that's the final filter. When your inner wealth is unshakable, you become untouchable. The fake fall away, not because you changed, but because you showed up unchanged. So here's what it all comes down to, ascenders. You were never ghosted because you were too much. You were ghosted because you were too real. Sigma energy isn't loud, it's not charming, it's not designed for applause, it's tuned for truth, and that alone separates the hollow from the solid. When fake people first meet you, they're fascinated. They feel something they can't explain, but over time, your calm becomes confrontation. Your silence becomes too loud. Your peace becomes a mirror, and that's when they leave. Let them. Your path isn't built for followers. It's built for founders, those who lead themselves, those who don't beg to be seen because they're too busy being whole. Here on Sigma Ascends, we don't mourn the ghosters. We thank them for showing their limits, and we keep rising undistracted. If you're tired of being misunderstood, isolated, or walked out on, understand this. That's not your weakness. That's your filter working. Every goodbye is proof you're walking a different route. So hit subscribe if you haven't. Not because I asked, but because you recognize the signal. This is Sigma Ascends. Stay sovereign, stay surgical, stay sharp, and when it's time, vanish like smoke.